Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars, welcome to another PlayStation 5 review. Today's review is for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. This game is brought to us by Square Enix. Now there has been a healthy dose of skepticism, I think it's fair to say, towards this game, and most of that is down to last year's release brought to us by Square Enix of Marvel's Avengers, whereas I did garner quite a lot of enjoyment from that game. I absolutely do take on board the criticism that has been thrown that game's way. So it was right to assume that this game was probably going to have skeptical eyes on it from a lot of gamers and critics. And the game has just been released. Now, this game I have actually been quite looking forward to. Obviously, I'm a fan of the property. And I thought leading up to its release, it was all looking pretty good. And having played the game now, I have to say, guys, this game is brilliant. It far exceeded my expectations, and is arguably the most enjoyable game I have played this year. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy, thankfully, is a single-player experience. There's no live service rubbish here. It's a simple game to play, single player experience. There are no microtransactions, there's no catches here. You pay your money, you play the game, you enjoy it, and that's it. Now, you could argue, I suppose, there's not really a huge amount of replayability here, but I would be happy to, play this again tomorrow and play through the whole campaign again. I enjoyed it that much, and it's a sort of game I'd want to come back to several months down the road and play it again. It's a lot of fun to play, and it's a high quality experience. Now, in regards to gameplay, then, what do we get in Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, it's quite a linear experience, and essentially you are the Guardians, and while they might not look like their cinematic counterparts, they certainly, for the most part, act and behave like their cinematic counterparts, and certainly behave in a way you will expect them to from watching the movies and things. They've nailed all that absolutely down. And you start at the beginning of the game, you're on like a scavenging mission, and to cut a long story short, and I never really want to spoil stories here when I'm doing reviews on games. I like people to experience the story themselves. It all goes wrong early on in the game. You end up owing a lot of money, and you have to basically then kind of scramble throughout the rest of the game trying to get some money, but also basically stay alive. The usual kind of stuff, really. And it's a lot of fun. I have to say the strongest element of this game is the story and the writing here. It moves along at a nice, healthy pace. It's fun, it's witty, the writing. But there's also some really nice emotional hits in the game. You get a couple of flashbacks from when Peter was a teenager, having chats with his mom. You learn more about your companions through some quite deep conversations with them on the Milano, the ship. So you've got this really good connection to all the Guardians. And while they have been together for some time, it still feels like they are relatively at the beginning of their career together, the Guardians, I suppose. There's still an awful lot of distrust there, which is evident through a lot of the conversations. So basically the gameplay is you make your way through the levels, and it will, depending on what level you are in the game, sometimes you're on a planet, sometimes you're on a ship, so on and so forth. You'll make your way through these reasonably linear levels, but there is some room for exploration. You can go off the beaten track on some of these levels, and you'll find resources and even little collectibles and some new outfits for your Guardians. So you can make your way around, do a little bit of exploration, pick these extra things up, but you'll get from A to B, and usually fight a few enemies along the way, and then usually a boss battle at the end of each kind of level. Sounds pretty linear and pretty dull, but I guarantee you it's definitely not dull, due to the fact that you've got all the companions together. They're constantly bickering. There's some good conversations. You can participate in the conversations by choosing little dialogue options now and again, and while they might not be like deeply affecting the story, it certainly affects the direction in which the conversations go. So you can side with certain guardians, you can tease them, you can do an awful lot of different things with these conversations. It always keeps it fresh and keeps the dialogue interesting. Much has been said about the combat here, and I must admit, when I first found out that you only really control Peter Quill here, Star-Lord, I was a little bit worried about that, because, let's be honest, you're doing a Guardians of the Galaxy game, why would you not want to control all the Guardians? But it actually works quite well here in the game. You'll do much of your exploring with Peter Quill, whether it be around the ship or on different levels. And when you go into combat, essentially you've got Peter Quill, who's obviously got his 2 guns and a few extra abilities and moves and things, but also you can draw in the other Guardians to combat. So you can call on Groot, who will use his abilities to help in a combat situation, Drax, Gamora, and obviously Rocket. And they've all got different qualities that they bring to the battle, and they will help you in different ways. And it actually works really, really well. But I actually also really like in the combat, there's like a huddle. So if things aren't going your way, sort of thing, you can kind of call a huddle, and they'll all run up to you and look for your leadership, and you've got to kind of choose the right option. And if you do, they'll go back into battle, super powered, if you like, in all energized and all the abilities hyped up, and you get some kick-ass music as well. It's really, really cool. So you'll be battering the bad guys to Rick Astley or Aha's Take On Me or whatever. And it's just a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed the combat here. It was fun, it was engaging, it was challenging when it needed to be. And I thought I really, really enjoyed it, actually. It was much better than I anticipated, and much better when you consider that initially I wasn't overly excited about just having control of Peter Quill. It actually works quite well. There's some abilities you can unlock that can kind of give you extra advantages in battle. They'll give you can fly around on your rocket boots, for example, or fire like your freeze gun rather than a laser gun, and you can do it as well with the other companions, unlock different abilities for them. The weakest aspect of the game is there's like these workbenches that you can use to upgrade your weapon skills by collecting resources on levels. I never really found like the upgrades that you put in place on your weapons did an awful lot. It didn't feel like it to me. And so I thought that bit was a little bit weak. I thought it was going to allow me to like upgrade my weapon and make it look different cosmetically and all that kind of stuff, and that's not really how it works. There's some occasional QTE moments in the game that you've got to hit the right button at the right time. There's some environmental puzzles that you need to solve to progress through levels, and basically it consists of choosing a different guardian to get you through a different level. So occasionally you will need the strength of Drax, or the sword skills of Gamora, or Rocket's technical skills, or Groot's ability to make you a bridge. But it's pretty easy to figure it out, them sort of things. So it's a great game, this. I'm having so much fun with it. And the soundtrack is absolutely kick-ass as well. It is so much fun, the soundtrack, listening to all these retro 80s songs. And, you know, I grew up in the 80s, and I'll just love the soundtrack here and all the music that it plays while you play in the game. It's a lot of fun. The graphics are incredible. It looks absolutely superb, and it runs smooth as butter. For me, this is one of my games of the year, if not so far my game of the year. It's absolutely brilliant, worth every single penny, and it's a game I strongly recommend. It's another quality Marvel game title, and one that I definitely recommend you guys check out. So it's a very strong 9 out of 10 from me. So I hope you like this review. I hope you found it useful, and I will be back with plenty more reviews on the channel very, very soon.